So we'll start now, Dharmesh.
Yeah.
So this is I'm reading from Showers of Divine Grace. The head of the topic is Rajayoga. This was the message delivered by Babuji Maharaj in the year 1963. It goes like this. I may today present before you some of the important features of our system known as the natural path of realization. The system runs along simplest and most natural lines, which are easily adjustable to the ordinary routine of a worldly life. So the point we have to understand is it is the simplest and runs along most natural lines. So it is simple and natural. It admits none of the methods of rigid austerity, penance, or physical mortification undertaken with a view to effect the strangulation of the mind and the indriyas, which is the traditionally whenever people thought about yoga, like suppose we are from Tirupati, when we went to Tirumala Hills, there was one place called Papa Vinasanam. We used to travel there, and there on the way we used to see several swamis and yogis, standing on one leg and then keeping their hands up. Those are all rigid penances they are doing with the idea of controlling their mind or whatever it is. It is very tough. It is not suitable for ordinary people. So you see in India, several traditions are there where they do a lot of physical mortification, like that. Even other systems also, Christian systems and Islamic systems also, physical mortification is there. In our system, there is no such thing. The ideology of natural path is so plain that for this very reason, it is not so well understood by people who are under the impression that realization is the most difficult job, which requires persistent labor for lives and ages. So here he's arriving at, he is trying to break the powerful notion which we have that it is realization requires a lot of labor and a lot of hard work, and it's a difficult thing because mind you, it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that Bahunam Janmanam, that means several lives. If you keep trying, then realization is possible. So that the poet who wrote the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned there, and we give very high regard to Bhagavad Gita and so many other scriptures. And so Babuji is trying to demolish that strong notion in our head that it is a difficult thing. Realization is the most difficult job, which requires persistent labor for lives and ages. It may, however, be difficult to those who proceed on loaded with their own confused conceptions of reality and adopt complicated means for their achievement. So people who in their minds, through their imagination and through conceptions and all that, when they're loaded with those conceptions, for them it is very difficult, he says. And that is why they adopt complicated means for their achievement. Now he is coming to the basic point, which should be a take-home message for all of us. As a matter of fact, this was a diary saying recently. After reading the diary saying only, I thought I should read about this article. As a matter of fact, reality which one aspires for is so simple that its very simplicity has become a wheel to it. That was the diary saying. He says simplicity itself has become a wheel to it. It is a matter for us to contemplate and try to grasp what spirit of what Babuji is trying to tell us. A simple thing can be achieved by simple means alone. Therefore, for the realization of the simple, it is only the simplest means that can ensure success. Now, here comes his most famous statement. It is quite easy to pick up a needle from the ground by means of your fingers, but if you apply a crane for the purpose, it may well nigh be impossible. Exactly the same is the case with realization. The confusing methods and complicated means advised for the realization of the simplest do not therefore serve the purpose. Rather, they keep one entangled in his self-created complexities all the life. So wrong methods uh, uh, will not lead you to self-realization. It may uh, get you trapped into your entanglements itself. So as a matter of fact, realization is neither a game of contest with the nerves and muscles, nor a physical pursuit involving austerity, penance, or mortification. So then what is realization? It is only the transformation of the inner being to its real nature. Inner being means our antakarana. Antakarana means the manasu, buddhi, ahankar, and chit. These form our internal being. So transformation of the inner being to its real nature is realization. It is not a contest of nerves or muscles, nor either it is a physical pursuit involving austerity, penance, or mortification. You must understand that Lord Buddha, in order to realize, he spent 6 years mortifying his body. He used to take only single rice every day. So he was just bones and skin. But he realized it didn't help him, so he gives it up. So people have experimented and failed. So it is not a contest of nerves or muscles, or neither austerity, penance, or mortification. It is only the transformation of the inner being to its real nature. That our antakarana has to come back to its real nature. That is what realization means. That is what natural path takes into account, ignoring all misplaced superfluities connected with it. The practices advised under the system are not merely formal and mechanical, related with the closing of eyes for meditation. They have a definite object, a purpose, and an end. There are two aspects of it, the one being the abhyas, and the second, the master's support through pranahuti or yogic transmission, which accelerates the abhyasi's progress by removing complexities and obstructions on his path. So our effort is there and master's effort is also there. Under the old ways of practice, it was the abhyasi who had to struggle hard for removing his impediments and obstructions, while the guru's job ended with prescribing for him certain mechanical practices for the purpose. It is, however, not so in natural path, where much of the responsibility in this respect rests upon the master, who removes impediments and clears off the complexities from the abhyasi's mind by applying his own power through yogic transmission or pranahuti. This is very clear, so we'll go ahead. You know, most of us would have read this article several times, and most of us intellectual understanding of pranahuti, intellectual understanding of the method will be there. But the awareness of the master in our heart in a firm and certain way is a very subtle point which is not possible for a impure mind. So unless, and that is why the spiritual practice is very difficult. The master's power has got a, it is something, you can imagine it like this. You have a, you are a person, you got a armor inside, like an iron armor is there. and then nothing can penetrate into you. When I use the word nothing, it means the divine wisdom will not penetrate through the armor of your mind and then affect you at all. So it is very difficult because the mind itself is can operate under only certain conditions of space-time, whereas God or divinity or reality is beyond space and time. So any amount of thinking will not allow that wisdom to dawn. So only a master of capability can pierce through this armor and then awaken the reality which is sleeping in the mind of a person. And once that awakening happens, because of a practice, you can increase that gap whereby the divine flow will keep on continuously coming and bring about transformation of your antakarna. So without Guru's help, it is well nigh impossible to grasp the subtle presence of God. You may spend, you may go to, Kasi, Banaras, Tirupati or Vaishno Devi several times. You do so many this thing, but we'll be the same fools. We will never be able to grasp what is divinity unless Guru's grace comes and awakens the sleeping divinity in us. So that is very important. And that is why we have to practice, as Babuji says, so that we can attract his attention. That is the practice which we have to do. So yogic transmission is very important. That is what he's talking. Now, we'll continue ahead. This age-old system of yogic transmission has ever been the very basis of Rajayoga. But during the later period, it has almost been lost to the Hindus, who were the real originators of it. He says it was lost to the Hindus. It is now due to the marvelous efforts of my master, Samarth Guru Mahatma Ramchandraji Maharaj of Fatehgarh, that this long forgotten system has been revived and brought to light. Under this process, the master, when using the word small master is using, small master means he is the trainer. Trainer by definition is the one who has transcended his senses and whose faculties are balanced. But it is trainers are also abhyasis, and they are also moving on the path towards perfection. And but when they sit in prayer and then they connect with the master, when they achieve a kind of layavastha in master, he is capable of helping you all. I mean, that is how the system has been working in spite of the imperfections of trainers also. That is why master also had to write finally, they have lost the ocean, about people who have stopped their abhyas actually. Abhyas is a continuous effort to move towards the goal. So under this process, the master, by the application of his internal powers, awakens and accelerates the dormant forces in the abhyasi to action and diverts the flow of divine current towards his heart. That's it. We'll go ahead. The only thing for the abhyasi to do is to connect himself with the power of the master, whose mind and senses are all thoroughly disciplined and regulated. So mind you, the trainer is one whose mind and senses are all thoroughly disciplined and regulated. And he, through his willpower, will be able to transmit the state of that spiritual condition into the heart of the like the second knot condition, Sat Swarupa Jnana. The trainer will move into that state of mind where he feels the interdependence, transmit that spiritual state, and he can give you the taste of that spiritual state to the aspirant. Of course, the aspirant has to fulfill certain criteria. He should aspire for that condition. He should be clear about the goal, and he should practice the method, and he should have trust in the Babuji Maharaj. If that is all there, then this spiritual state can be transmitted into the heart. As a result of that, the sleeping centers get awakened, and then your progress is speeded up. So that is the system which is the uniqueness of this natural path, where it is supported by Pranahuti. In that case, the master's power begin to flow into the Abhyasi's heart, regulating the tendencies of his mind also. But this does not refer to the old orthodox view about Gurudom. In our system, we take it in the form of common brotherhood with a spirit of service and sacrifice. But then there is one difficulty. People are generally prone to be impressed by one who displays to them charming miracles. Though this capacity does develop automatically by the effect of practice, it can by no means be held as the criteria of Yoga Siddhi. So people who are practicing Rajayoga, this capacity develops automatically. So this is a point you should note. That is why when a trainer is absorbed in the divine consciousness and he works, he will not be able to understand, but the aspirant is benefited. It will be like a miracle. Certain tendencies will be changed. I mean, it's just like like, for example, the mind which is constantly tendencies of the mind is towards objects only, towards seeking pleasures. It is extrovert only. So that tendency suddenly reverse, put it in the reverse gear, and then it is turning towards the God is actually a miracle. Actually, it is very difficult for an ordinary person to resist the force of water gushing in a downward direction. And suddenly you say that gushing river which is going, and then suddenly should take an about turn and go back towards the source. That is what is happening when the stream of thoughts are getting withdrawn and turning towards the source or the presence of divine in the heart. So that is actually the miracle, and that miracle is happening because of the transmission actually. So that is a real miracle, not normal people want, that materialization of some things, or curing some diseases. They want the Guru to exhibit such kind of miracles. But Babaji is totally, he dismisses that. Yeah. But he says miracle power is there in all people who practice his system. Besides, a true Rajayogi would never feel inclined towards it for the purpose of display. Miracles are, however, of two kinds. Now he is describing two kinds of miracles. One of divine nature and the other of material nature. The purpose of former, that is the divine, is always godly, whereas that of the latter is worldly. The former type of miracles are awakened in him who proceeds by subtleness, and they solve the problem of life that confronts us. So the former type of miracles, godly miracles, are awakened in him who proceeds by subtleness, and they solve the problem of life. Means the inner transformation, and the mind becomes balanced. And when the mind becomes balanced, you're immune from suffering. You can use the term nirvana, which Buddhists use. That means the flame of misery is extinguished, and then you're always blissful and you're happy under all circumstances. That's the goal of life will be achieved. That is a divine miracle actually. On the other hand, those proceedings along with grossness develop miracles of the latter type which overburden the heart. If, however, one gets absorbed in the conditions of this lower attainment, he as a whole becomes a knot, so to say, with a whirlpool inside for himself. He uses the word whirlpool, to be drowned in it. If that power is utilized on others, they will also be dragged into the same whirlpool. He says in our samstha, almost everyone possesses this capacity. But the watchful eye of the master keeps it under control, lest he might go astray on that account. He is not even aware of it, but it comes to pass through his medium when genuine need for it arises. For our spiritual help and support, we therefore need as our master not one who displays wonderful miracles or exhibits extraordinary feats of asana or pranayama or delivers learned discourses on the philosophy of Maya, Jiva and Brahman, but one who can solve the practical difficulties, remove impediments from the path and help us along by his own inner power. Now he gives you a yardstick how to measure that person who can remove your practical difficulties. If fortunately you happen to find one whose association promotes in you the feeling of peace and calmness, and the restlessness of the mind seems to be silenced by his effect, you must understand that he has transcended the limit of senses and that he can be a fit person to help you in the solution of your problem of life by the exercise of his inner powers. By connecting yourself with him with love and devotion, you also begin to transform accordingly. So he is giving you, the institute also, revered sir has struggled hard, he worked tirelessly to make preceptors who are taken to what is called the Brahmanda state of consciousness, where you transcend the limitations of name and form. You are no more, your mind is no more conditioned by your name and form. That means name and form is not there, automatically sense organs also have become silenced. And then the nature of the mind of a person who is established in universal consciousness is universal love, and generally he'll be peaceful. Mind is quiet. That is the thing. So sir was very, he tried very hard to see that all the trainers would own up the conditions, so that by prayer he got access to the trainers to move towards Brahmanda or Parabrahmanda consciousness. But if they own up the conditions, then they are a boon to the society, and then they can really help society in the spiritual transformation. The routine practice, I'll go ahead now. I'm trying to add my own this thing, so that I slow down the whole process, so that there'll be some scope for the thoughts trickling down into your consciousness and merging in your consciousness. The routine practice followed in our samstha is meditation on the heart. The same practice has also been advised by Patanjali. The basic principles of this practice has already been discussed in the Efficacy of Rajayoga, which I do not mean to repeat here again. The process greatly helps us in throwing out the grossness of our being and in assuming a state of highest subtleness. We know that God is completely devoid of grossness. So the realization of God must mean the attainment of a state of similar subtleness to the last possible degree. This is what we aim at in the natural path. The system helps an abhyasi free himself from grossness that has settled round him in the form of coverings. So here the importance of the object of meditation, which Babuji says, divine light. And he says the saints have used the word light. So I am also forced to use the word light. And he says, if any of you in Germany or France or Danish, if you have a better word, you let me know. I'll use that word, because there is no other better word to explain. You can understand this way, like all perceptions which are happening, like now I'm talking, certain thoughts are arising in my mind. Those thoughts come into cognizance because of the light of the divine falling on those thoughts. Actually, it is no light. It's a kind of an intelligence. The intelligence falls on these thoughts, and I become aware of the thoughts. But without that intelligence focusing on the thoughts, I will not be aware of thoughts at all. I will not be aware of any consciousness at all. The awareness itself will not be there. So, it is that light which lights up everything. You know, there's a famous saying in the Upanishad: the sun does not shine, the moon does not shine. There is neither light nor darkness that is brighter than all the light of the sun, and like that. I mean, that light is brighter than 1,000 suns. That's what it is described in Upanishad. That light is actually the God or the awareness inside us, or the master inside us. So now he's asking you to meditate on the divine light, and he says he has used the word without luminosity, because it is neither light nor darkness. It is beyond both, neither existence nor existence, neither saguna nor nirguna. It is a subtlest thing. So that is why it's a mere supposition on which we are meditating. Supposition, this point you must try to think deeply and try to grasp this, because the whole system rests on this object of meditation. So unless you do meditation on that subtlest thing, which is neither light nor darkness, which is neither existence nor non-existence, and it's a mere supposition, on that supposition you meditate, then your mind also will become subtle like that, and then only God realization or transformation of your antakarana happens. So this is an important point which you have to think deeply and then bring it into practice. The system helps an abhyasi free himself from grossness that has settled around him in the form of coverings. Again, the point again he is trying to stress again and again. The technique, though quite simple, is often beyond common grasp. He is himself warning you that it is often beyond common grasp, since it adheres closely to the absolute reality and proceeds along subtlest lines. So he is giving you a warning. He is giving you, he says it is often beyond common grasp. So we just superficially think I understood what it is. So it's a caution for you to see that you go probe much deeper into that idea and try to feel the actual thought or the actual idea which the author is trying to convey. So you just don't simply conclude that you understood it, because he himself is telling it is often beyond common grasp, since it adheres closely to the absolute reality and proceeds along subtlest lines. It prescribes meditation on the heart, supposing the presence of divine light there. But the abhyasi is directed not to try to see light in any form or shape. If he does so, the light, if perchance it appears to his view, will not be the real one, but a projection of his mind. Our mind project, you see the external objects which I am seeing now, the neuroscience is completely understood the functioning of the senses and the functioning of the mind. And it is now I am seeing all your images, and then that images are transmitted to my occipital lobe, and then there, you know, a vritti appears, and as a result of that vritti, the mind projects that vritti outside, and then whatever is projected, I perceive that that's a reality outside of me. So mind, the projectile power of the mind is the rajasic guna of the mind actually. So mind, if it thinks divine light is there, it will project that light and you'll see that light. Of course, there's another thing. When in the initial stages, when you meditate, when the divinity touches your mind, that is felt as light, but you just observe it, but you can feel happy about it, that and along with that light, there'll be extreme calmness and peace will be there. But that is not our goal at all. That is the, many people would have felt light, that's good thing in a way. That shows that the divine inside you is touching the mind. That's all about it. But it is still not realization. You just note it and then proceed ahead. That's all. If perchance it appears to his view, if it does so, the light, if perchance it appears to his view, will not be the real one, but a projection of his mind. An abhyasi is, however, advised to take it in the form of a mere supposition. This idea is important. You have to take it in the form of a mere supposition. I want people to meditate on this idea very well, because most of us have got a responsibility of passing on the message of the master and its purity to other people also. The whole world is craving for peace, and real peace is possible when the mind is balanced. And the best, and Babuji's method is a natural method. It's the simplest method, and people will be greatly benefited if we tell them the correct method, which we practice ourselves and feel the benefit, and then pass on that correct thing too. So if you advised to take it in the form of a mere supposition. Unless we understand and put it into practice, we will not be able to talk confidently and tell the system to others. In that case, it will be the subtlest, and we shall thereby be meditating upon the subtlest. Every saint has used the word light for it, and I too cannot avoid it, since that is the only expression best suited for the purpose. But that creates some complications. Because when we talk of light, the idea of luminosity becomes predominant, and we begin to take it as glittering. The real light carries with it no such sense and may be represented as light without luminosity. It refers to the very real substance, or more appropriately, the substance which is associated with neither light nor darkness, but is beyond both. So this is when he's talking of Rajayoga and his system, I think this is the central point which every day we practice. So it is essential for all of us to contemplate very deeply and grasp the main essence of his teaching and try to put it into practice. Under our system of practice too, an abhyasi no doubt does see the light sometimes, but that is only in the beginning, when matter comes into contact with energy. That is what I said. Matter is mind. Energy is the divine energy, or the divine intelligence, or the divine presence. When it touches the mind, you'll no doubt does see the light sometimes. In other words, it is a clue to show that energy has begun to work. Moreover, light not being our goal, the vision of luminosity within or without is not an indication of the attainment of realization. So he's telling that you may feel the light, but it is not an indication of that you are realized. You just have to carry on with your practice. You don't have to gloat about it and feel great about it and keep on telling everybody that I've seen light and all that. He says you have to carry on, move along on the goal towards, on the path towards the goal. Under this system, the dormant energies of the center and sub-centers are awakened so as to enable them to function properly. When the higher centers are awakened, they begin to shed their effect upon the lower centers. When Sir has told that when we use the word higher centers, it is the centers of the Pindadesh. The lower centers, I think, refers to the Muladhara, Swadhisthana and Manipur. Those called the lower centers, which are not touched in our system. And when they come in contact with the divine centers are all the cosmic and paracosmic centers in the brain. The lower ones get merged in them. The higher centers thus take over charge of the lower ones. The lower centers too are clean so as to relieve them of the grosser effects settled on them. That alone is the proper and the most natural course which can bring about the highest results. Now he's coming to his aspiration from us, his demand from us as abhyasis. He says, one thing I especially lay stress upon is that the abhyasi must cultivate an intense craving amounting to restless eagerness or pinching impatience for the realization of the goal. It is this feeling of pain or restlessness, as one might call it, which one has to develop in order to ensure easy success. This again we have studied in ways and means. Uh, uh, this has to be cultivated. We have to keep on fighting to see that the good in us dominates, and then when it dominates, then this craving or restlessness to realize the goal will gain upper hand actually. But it has to be cultivated. It is a practice. But I fear lest one might come up saying that he has stepped into the field of spirituality not for having pain or unrest, but for achieving peace and tranquility. And he may be right from his point of view. But from my point of view, I would say that the former means restlessness and pain, is for those who have their eyes fixed upon the divine. While the latter, that means people who care for peace and tranquility, is meant for those who want to partake of the delight of intoxication, so to say. The latter is, however, not so very difficult to achieve. The intoxication of drinking the cup of wine from God, which is a very popular metaphor used in all songs of Kabir or Sufi songs and all that. The grace is described as a elixir or a wine or drink which intoxicates and makes you happy. So he says that is easy. As per Babuji, that is want to partake of the delight of intoxication, so to say. The latter is, however, not so very difficult to achieve. That means the intoxication of joy of not so very difficult to achieve. While the attainment of the former is not, of course, a child's play. Many a man must have had a taste of the condition of peace. Now he's making a statement. He says, many have tasted peace. Let us now taste the former. That means the restlessness and the pain to yearning or pinching impatience. Let us now taste the former, for a spark of which one might be ready to forego 1,000 states of peace and calmness. He is making a statement that the former one of restless impatience or the yearning, if you have tasted that, he says, once you taste that, he says, you will be willing to forego 1,000 states of peace and calmness. That is his statement. If you trust that the master is genuine and is a sincere person who loves you, he likes you, we have to accept his statement just like that. I mean, we don't have to and try to aspire for that. This is in fact the foundation of the entire structure which brings forth rare personalities into the world. The actual state of the real peace is beyond comprehension. He says mind cannot comprehend what is real peace. It admits of no contradictions. It is literally neither peace nor restlessness, neither union nor separation, neither bliss nor its opposite. It is after all that for which we had developed pain. May you all have a taste of the pain. It is not, however, difficult to cultivate. A reassurance from his side. He was a practical man, so he says, it is not, however, difficult to cultivate. He says, you have to cultivate, it is not difficult to cultivate. A firm will and an undivided attention towards it are all that are required for the purpose. Then what you seek for will be found quite close to you. What you seek for will be found quite close to you. The main point is coming again. Nay, you might yourself be that which you seek for. That means he's coming finally to the Vedantic version of Tattvamasi, thou art that. You might yourself be that which you seek for. That means you are that only. For that, there must be a burning heart which might burn down the weeds and bushes on the path. So this is in short, he has written this message in the year 1963. So I thought after the diary saying, I thought we'll read this to refresh. We must have read it several times, but just a collective endeavor to be absorbed in his thoughts and then try to practice correctly as per his advice. So first of all, the take-home points from this message is, it's a simple thing, he says. Second thing is simple thing, like if a pin has fallen down, it is easy to pick up a needle. And then if you employ a crane, it is very difficult. So if you employ austerities or penances or another area he has written in, yoga is not like a labor, you are working hard like that. It is a very natural, easy way, in a very normal way, without, in a normal way, we'll think about the presence of God. That's all about it. And it should be, that is what he says. Method is simple. Even cleaning is also very simple, but you have to practice. As you keep practicing, and then the trainer who is attached to the master will use his willpower and do the cleaning for you, and he'll awaken the spiritual centers. Once they are awakened, they will assist you in your forward movement, actually. So that is one point. And second point he talked about is the subtlety of the object of meditation, because we have to gain finally the same subtleness which God has got. And then the third is that burning, pinching impatience and restlessness is important. I think these are there's so many other points are there, but these three take-home points are very important for us. Any questions about this, or anybody wants to comment or contribute to the discussion?
Sir, the last lines,
Uh,
the last para. So it says it admits the actual state of real peace is beyond comprehension. It admits of no contradictions, and then it says it is literally neither peace or. It's talking about the condition of neti neti in a way, or
no. He's talking about peace. So first of all, we will not go further about it because it is beyond our comprehension. So we have not yet tasted it. So let's not have a concepts about it. Let's taste what it is.
okay. So it's not neti neti, like it's not.
That's not. So
Okay.
the our stance as a student is, he is showing you the carrots. So you should try to catch the carrot. It is like that, which your mind will not be able to comprehend it. But if you the practice as I am suggesting, you cultivate restlessness and pinching impatience, then you'll reach that peace. Then once you reach there, then of course uh, you tasted it. The proof of the pudding lies in eating it, not thinking about it and talking about it.
So when it says it is neither this nor that, it is basically saying that
Trying to
we
give
should
a
not define it.
trying to
You just
put it in a language, actually.
we cannot limit it by anything.
He's negating himself. He's trying to say it is beyond comprehension, but still he's making an effort to give you a concept about it. So, I mean, he's struggling to make you
Explain what it is.
on the correct lines, actually. So, whatever you think he's trying to say is not the actual piece.
Hmm.
Because if you read Buddha and all that, if you read, people ask, what happens, Tathagata, that means the realized person, if he dies, will he live? He says, I don't know. Will he not live? He says, I don't know. So he doesn't answer the question. The four possibilities the students ask him, what is God and all that, he never answers. Because mind is capable of grasping only a language, and that state is where the language is not possible. So what's the point in talking about a thing which cannot be talked? He kept quiet. So Babuji is also just giving a hint about it, that's all. So he's trying to express in his own way what it is, what that state is. But then we should take that it is beyond, at least it's not under my comprehension. So I will not make any comments.
Hmm. Yes.
Neti Neti is the Jnana Yoga method, the Vedantic method of trying to know what is your true self. So they say the body is, they will say all the five koshas. They'll say the body Annamaya. Sir has discussed beautifully in the Path of Grace about the five koshas, how the body keeps on going old, goes up and then old age. So it is not the same way pranamaya. Pranamaya, after some time, your digestion stops working, your teeth stop working, eyes stop working, your heart stops working. So the prana, which controls all these physiological functions, they depart at the time of your death. So that is not yourself. And the mind also keeps on changing. And the mind also in deep sleep, it doesn't exist there. So in the sense, that is also you're not yourself. Anamaya is the finer layer of the mind. That also is constantly your views about God, your understanding about God, your decisions, faith and lack of faith, and all these things keep on changing. One day you'll feel Ramanuja Swami is the Guru, then Venkateswara Swami. One day you'll feel Vaishnav Devi is the correct to go there. You'll realize. So your decisions and your understanding keeps on changing. So self is not a changing thing. So it is not so. And finally, Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is a kosha where the bliss is there, and which is felt in the deep sleep state. And that is also the causal sheath where all your samskaras are there. So the samskaras, if they are not there, that doesn't exist. So a liberated person, Anandamaya Kosha, will not be there. So that is also not yours. So Neti Neti like that. So what is remaining, or the simple awareness, is the self. Awareness, you cannot know the knower. Awareness can know things other than itself. It cannot know itself. So the language also fails. That is the method of who am I, popularized by this, popularized by um, Ramana Maharshi, and that's a classic Vedantic method. But then, the problem is you may do so many things, but the wheel or the avidya is so, you will, actually you're all gods only. But then now I have a consciousness. Now a feeling that I am separate from all of you and I'm separate from Babuji, that is like a poison has permeated my consciousness. And what is that? How it has come about? Your mind has no clue about it. It cannot understand. It is not designed to understand this at all. So unless the guru comes and then he removes the obstruction from the mind, so-called mind or the intellect, that parda rehta hai, he breaks it open, and then he grants you that viveka. Then only you will be able to understand your true nature, that you are come from the divine, and then your real home is your real home, where you should stay, is the divine station. So that will only come with the help of a guru. Without guru, any system you follow, whether it is not possible at all. You will be just because the entire motive force which is helping you to know about God is a wrong program which has been downloaded into your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That program will only lead you in the wrong direction. So however hard you may work for several lives, you'll be going in the wrong direction. Because the program which has been installed is called avidya. That is controlling your thinking, behavior, and action. How can you? So, unless a person does extraordinarily sincere prayer from his heart, he keeps on crying repeatedly, then that there will be a break or rupture in that program, and then a new program is possible to be installed there. Otherwise, without Guru, it is impossible. You may say Neti Neti for several years, but you are the same fool. But that point you must understand.
Sir, can you hear me?
I can hear Prasad, yes.
So on page 93, Master says one thing which I especially lay stress upon is that Abhyas, you must cultivate an intense craving amounting to restlessness, eagerness, or pinching impatience.
Yeah.
So if we try to follow constant remembrance and repeated prayers to develop certain attributes related to restlessness. Are there other ways and means?
If you read his books properly, if you read his literature properly, once you sit in meditation, and once you sit in meditation with a proper prayer, with a prayer for spiritual elevation, and then give up all your distracting elements, your worries, anxieties about your children's health, your financial problems, political problems, वो पूरा बाहर छोड़ देना चाहिए सब. छोड़ के you must give 1 hour of quality time for prayer, and then before entering into that prayer, you must get into a mood where you really are very sincerely, truthfully trying to get into the spirit of prayer, and then try to touch him and then do meditation. As a result of that, the grace of the master enters your mind, and that results in tranquility. So, but then we have to preserve that gain which you have achieved during the process of meditation, and how to retain that, how not to lose the gift which you have got during meditation is what is about constant remembrance. And so when you do that, that means you don't lose the transformation which has happened during meditation. So next time when you move, you will move another step ahead, another step ahead. So constant remembrance is a method by which you are not allowing any degradation of the gift which you have received. So then then what happens is a state comes when the mind also starts getting used to the peace. Now the mind is accustomed to restlessness and impatience, and it feels it is normal. But then suddenly when it is exposed to peace, it may not like it at all. You know the famous, the several stories which in Bhagavata and all, which they say. But if you are doing like this seriously, the mind also starts getting acclimatized to that tranquility. And then it knows that whenever it is thinking of God, it is getting a fresh, deeper level of tranquility in the mind, and then calmness is there. And that itself will, ignite a kind of a devotion. That itself will automatically leads to impatience, actually. You can read that in third commandment, it talks about it. So if you are doing normal practice with a sincerity of heart, naturally you develop this impatience to reach the goal.
Yes.
But if you allow it to degrade, then you're going 1 step forward and then 2 steps backward. So we have a saying in Telugu, ekkada esina gongali akkade untadi. That means the blanket is there, it doesn't move much. So that's an unfortunate situation. Most people they don't have the motive, willpower to move ahead on the path, actually. I hope that point is, Prasad, you're okay?
Yes, sir. And I think it's more of a terminology or branding related to which new generation understand. We clearly understand who is Sage Patanjali, but nowadays people relate Patanjali to a brand. So I think while explaining this point, we may have to say that it's related to Sage Patanjali and not the brand Patanjali.
Um, now yoga is a multi-billion-dollar industry now. So it's basically like they are putting the cart before the horse. So it is they are totally concentrating on the physical this thing. Of course, a little bit of when they do asanas properly, the mind has to be totally be in the present moment only to maintain that posture and bring about relaxation of the muscles. So some mental benefit also percolates a little bit, but then that is not yoga. No, actual yoga is Rajayoga, where mind is the central force, body is an external. Body is the power actually. So mind is the power and body is an implement which follows the mind actually. So the Western world and then they're putting the cart before the horse. So anyway, some of them may, I believe there's a wide interest now in the world to read about Patanjali and his sutras and all that. And recently I have seen in the YouTube, there's a New York professor is there, Bryant. He wrote a beautiful commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. I was reading his interview. That fellow, he knows complete Sanskrit and he lives also like a Tamilian. He's wearing a pancha and a shirt and then he's talking so, he's more Indian than all of us actually. So his name is some Bryant or something. He's written a commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. He's a professor in some department in New York State, Columbia or something, I don't know. So some people may take up serious study of Patanjali, definitely. There will be some benefit to the world when they turn to yoga. Actually.
Yes.
But Babuji, what he's talking is many people have not understood him at all. He is much ahead of his times. And that's what he says, no, the system is so plain and simple. The very simplicity has become a wheel to it.
Any other questions? Anything else?
Then we'll meet next Sunday.
Next. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.